All right, we'll call the special city council meeting for May 21st to order. Deputy Chief Martin, would you give the invocation, please?
Father God, thank you for another day of life. As we've witnessed the last 60 days or so, we've seen your power, seen your nature. I pray tonight that you will protect our citizens, our loved ones from any potential bad storms. Watch over us, guide our actions, Father, and give us wisdom so that your will be served, not ours. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Amen. Chief Hawkins, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, Your Honor. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Taylor,
Present.
Peterson,
Present.
Lease, present. Heckmaster,
Present.
Edge,
Present.
Snow,
Here.
Barlow,
Here.
Cossey,
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
All right, we'll move on to new business. Guess we'll run through it anyway, Miranda, but the first two, I believe, were taken care of last night.
I believe the setting of the date was,
Oh, okay.
setting of the date for the public hearing, we set that for June 5th at 4. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So item 2 was the first reading of Council Bill 24-27.
No.
No? You just want to move to resolutions?
I mean, do we have the ordinance?
Yes, the ordinance is
Oh.
attached.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Okay.
So we're good?
All right, so, yeah, I believe that would be what,
Okay.
first reading?
Yeah, first reading
Sorry.
of Council Bill 2427, ordinance concerning the removal of Dan Rye from the office of Mayor of the City of Carthage.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, since this has a special effect on you, I would like to ask that Mayor Pro Tem Snow be allowed to chair this meeting.
Oh, I have no problem with that. My assumption was since there wasn't a vote, it would be okay, but nope, I'm fine with that. Chair.
Save it.
Yep.
Well, what's that piece?
I'm helpful.
Any discussion?
So a couple of things. The first item is that because of the timing, the ordinance had to be put forth prior to the decision on the actual date and time last night. And so the date and time that are in the proposed ordinance need to be corrected to match what we actually voted on. So if you look in the proposed ordinance on the second page, about a third of the way down where it starts with section 4, the proposed ordinance says that the public hearing would happen on June 5th, 2024 at 3 p.m. and then be continued until June 7th at 3 p.m. Those were placeholders because the committee, or because the council had not met to set a time. So I would like to make a motion that we change the date and time of June 6th at 3 p.m. to match what we voted on last night, which was June 5th at 4 p.m. And then for the continuation to go to June 6th. But we would probably need to discuss a time at which people could meet. I don't know if 4 p.m. is convenient for everybody at 4 p.m. if it had to be continued on to June 6th. So I guess my motion is to make that at 4 p.m. and then open that for discussion.
I have a motion to amend section 4 from June 6, 2024 at 3 p.m. to June 5th at 4 p.m.
I second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Mr. Taylor? Motion carries. The second part of the motion was to open discussion that the hearing be continued to schedule to June 6th. Is there a time that would be recommended? Ms. Lees?
No, I don't have an all-day meeting that day,
Okay.
but can I make a motion here?
You certainly can.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that we kind of put the brakes on things. I know that we're trying to get it done before Mr. Martin is gone, but all the new council members have not had their training yet. And we don't have a city attorney in. So if we're going to go to a hearing or like a trial, a hearing, and we have to speak in things, I do not feel confident in knowing exactly what to do. But I feel like if we had a city attorney in place, then I would have someone that I could go to that was unbiased. So I would motion that we would put the brakes on it a bit till all the council members have had their training and we have a city attorney hired.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion and a second to pause, I guess I don't know what the proper table.
To table until we've had, all the new council members have had their training and that we have a city attorney so that we have someone that's unbiased that we can go to make sure we are prepared for hearing trial. Because I feel like that none of us have had enough training. I came, of course, to my city training, and I've been to another training, but I've served on lots of boards and committees. This is a big deal for this city, and I feel like that we need to consider that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Well, I would like to say, Ms. Lees, the reason so we don't have a city attorney, although there is a committee that has been formed to look at the applications we've had so far, and that's meeting later this week. Also, the council has the ability to hire special general counsel, but the reason we don't have that is because the mayor himself would refuse to allow us to do that and move forward with that. So unfortunately, that is something the council has tried to do, and we've been unable to do it. So for the very reason that we tried to hire this and we were blocked by the mayor, I'm going to vote against your motion because the reason we don't have somebody for you to consult is because of the mayor.
I thought the only thing that had been on the table was the attorney for the impeachment process.
No,
I
at
don't remember.
a former meeting,
I remember it being talked about, but I don't remember an informal proposal.
Right, so we were moving forward. We wanted to make a vote to reach out to, actually, I believe at this time it was an attorney who's now withdrawn his withdrawn his offer to represent the city. But at that time, the mayor said that it was out of order and he wouldn't entertain that. If my memory serves, I do know that he said that we could not do it. And so that is the reason we don't have special general counsel to advise us in the interim while we are waiting for a city attorney.
Because we had to follow that process of putting it out for everybody. So, I don't know, I feel like it's really rushing things. This is huge, and I feel like that we need to really consider this, and we do need to make sure we have it. But I don't want just any lawyer. I want someone that's unbiased and that can direct us properly to how to handle ourselves in a hearing or trial situation.
So just to clarify, we don't have to go through a big hiring process to hire special general counsel. The purchasing policy, we were actually lied to by Mr. Dagnan, who said we had to go through this RFP process. If you look in our purchasing policy on the very first page in section 1.2, it says that for legal services, we do not have to go through the purchasing policy. And that is what we were attempting to do. We were trying to hire an attorney out of Joplin to come and be special general counsel and to basically serve in basically a substitute role as a city attorney so we could have advice while we were waiting to determine whether we actually want to hire a full-time city attorney or we want to hire someone outside, but the mayor would not entertain that. So the thing that you're asking for is the very thing that the mayor blocked for you.
But I do like the idea of a committee. I think that it should be more than one person or 3 persons. I like the committee factor of hiring an attorney, and I am on that committee. And I know we're gonna meet later this week. I know somebody had a conflict earlier this week, so we couldn't, but I understand that, but I like the process of having a committee. I think that's always good.
Sure, but although the special general counsel was brought to the full council, so it had a potential vote of 9 different people who could ask questions. We could have brought the potential person in if we weren't comfortable hiring them at that time. I mean, so that would have been open to the entire council to vote on, not just a committee to make a recommendation for and then bring forward. But again, the thing that you're asking for is something we have tried to provide and we've been blocked in providing.
But we do have a committee now, and we do have applications that have come in.
We do. I have a concern about that, which I'll bring up in committee. I'd like to kind of know where we've advertised, if we've only advertised for that in certain locations, although I digress because that's not the content of tonight's discussion.
Okay, I still would like to keep that motion and.
The motion's on the floor.
Okay.
It's still open for discussion. Is there any other discussion?
Lori, I agree with you. I think having legal representation would be beneficial.
Any other discussion? Miranda, you want me just to have raise hands or?
We can do it on the tablet if you want.
Okay.
And Mr. Snow, could you please, since there's been kind of a lengthy discussion since the motion was made, would you please restate the motion so that everyone knows what they're voting on?
The motion is to table the June 5th date for the impeachment hearing.
Until we have the training and an attorney in place.
Until training and an attorney is in place.
Thank you.
I need to join the meeting. I didn't join.
Oh, I tried to mark everyone as present, thinking that would work, but.
Okay. I just joined. I had not previously joined.
Did the vote pop up after you joined?
No.
No? Okay, we'll just stop and redo it. Has everyone gone back and joined? Hit back on the agenda in the left corner. Just like exit out of there, and then is there the green button? Are you where the list of committees are?
just went here and here and back into the. That's what I hit. It took me there.
She's not like this.
That's, it shows I have 2 that aren't joined, so I'll just get their voice vote. But let me start this again.
Oh, but this is the vote on the ordinance, and we're voting on the motion to suspend, or to pause.
The motion name is table the June 5th date for impeachment. I have to put it under something, but the motion name is table to June 5th for impeachment. Table the June 5th date for impeachment until training and an attorney in place.
Okay, just because that's not what's popping up on our screen.
That's because I have to click on the item, an agenda item, to do a vote.
Oh, I
And
see,
since this
okay.
isn't on the agenda, I can do multiple votes under this item.
Okay,
But I
see.
have in here that the motion name is table the June 5th date for impeachment until training and attorney is in place.
Okay,
So that's how it's gonna show in the minutes.
okay,
And then if we vote on the ordinance, it'll be another vote that pops up.
okay, and so it'll show that same label, it'll just be,
Yeah,
okay. So this one is voting on the motion to table.
yes.
Okay.
And so I think, Jana, did it pop up for you? It did? It's not showing that you, did you save your vote? And Terry, you might just have to
It's
tell
not
me
coming up for
yes
me.
or no.
I beg your pardon?
Do you wanna vote yes or no?
I'm going to vote no.
No, okay. And Lori?
Yes. I want to approve that motion.
Jana, how did you? No. Okay.
Motion failed. So we're back to discussing the amendment to continue the hearing to June 6th instead of June 7th. And we're discussing the time on June 6th that we want to amend the motion to.
I would say 4 o'clock would be a good time, because if others are working, that may be a,
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. If it was later in the day on Thursday, that'd work best for me, but yeah.
So June 6th at 4 p.m. I would entertain it. I have a motion. I have a motion
Second.
and a second to amend section 4. The hearing shall be continued to June 6th at 4 p.m. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Mr. Taylor? Motion carried. Any further discussion on Council Bill 2427?
I would like to make a motion, that since it's in the language of the bill, and since we actually made the request more than 24 hours in advance for this to be listed as an emergency ordinance, I would like to make a motion that we consider this as an emergency ordinance and forward this to second reading this evening.
I second that.
Have a motion and a second to forward this to second reading as an emergency ordinance as stated in the council bill that was provided in the packet.
I don't believe the emergency language is in there.
If you look on the first page where it lists the various whereases, the last whereas says the council accordingly declares this legislation an emergency ordinance as allowed by section 3.9E of the Carthage City Charter. And also, you should have received an email from me yesterday prior to the close of business asking for this to be placed on the agenda as an emergency ordinance.
Can you explain what constitutes an emergency ordinance?
So an emergency, so the language in the city code is relatively open. It just says that a council can request that something be considered as an emergency ordinance and go to second reading on the same night that it's originally presented. But there's no definition of what constitutes an emergency. That would be up to the council to decide. So it's a motion that's made, and then the council gets to decide whether they consider this to be an emergency or not.
So, Ms. Lees, I would, if you remember last month, or earlier last month, when we had the Lime scooter ordinance on the agenda, it was also submitted as an emergency ordinance.
Right, but I also remember it was time constrained, so I felt that's why it was put on there. I thought that's why it was put on there, and I don't understand what the emergency is that we would warrant to make this an emergency amendment tonight.
Well, we have the hearing date set for June 5th.
So there's also a time constraint here.
Any further discussion?
Well, I wanted to put the brakes on, so I guess, obviously that's pushing it up even more, so, that's my discussion.
So the motion is to forward Council Bill 2427 to second reading. Do we need to voice vote, Miranda, or you want to put this on our?
We can do another,
Okay.
we can try another, so this is to forward it to second reading as an emergency ordinance.
Yes.
Terry, did it pop up for you? No, okay. Yes or no?
Yes.
Lori? Yes or no?
No.
Did yours not pop up?
It didn't, yes.
Yes, okay.
Motion passed.
I need to approach the chair because on an emergency from a lawyer that I talked to this morning, you need a unanimous decision for this to pass. And you didn't get one.
Mr. Taylor, could you please tell us in the ordinances where you see that?
You had to talk to Nathan Nicholas. That's who I talked to, and that's who advised me that if you guys press this, that was what I was to bring up, and I was to let you know that if you give him a call, and he will explain it to you. He used a lot of big words that I don't understand. All I'm doing is what I was told. That we're in the best interest of the citizens of this town. So, you can call me whatever you want. I'm just referring what I was told, so.
I believe it's in the charter.
It is. Was the language actually in there?
And
Was the emergency language actually in there?
it's
Yeah.
in the last whereas.
I can look and see if I have that portion of the charter with me. But this, so this is not a new thing. This is something that should have been listed as an emergency ordinance. And so I don't think that Mr. Nicholas's advice applies.
And that's exactly what he said you'd say.
That's great. Okay, it is in the charter, it's in section 3.9, section E, and it says emergency ordinances. An ordinance may be passed passed as an emergency measure on the day of its introduction if it contains a declaration describing in clear and specific terms the facts and reasons constituting the emergency, which all of the whereases constitute the time sensitivity. It says, and receives a vote of 2/3 of the council, of the members of the council. So it does not require unanimous vote. So once again, Mr. Taylor, if you speak to Mr. Nicholas, that's section 3.9 subsection E.
It wouldn't make any difference what I said, you're gonna refute it anyway.
Well, I mean, it's in the charter, that's what you cited to, that's the authority.
Just like on who can vote and who can't vote, so. Do what you wanna do.
So-
I'm gonna sit here and be a pain in the butt.
That's fine. So, Mr. Snow, do you need to see the charter? I have it printed, that portion.
Right.
Yes, please. So it appears the only ordinance that cannot be forwarded as an emergency ordinance is any ordinance reviewing or extending a franchise or granting a franchise as an emergency ordinance. And the motion is passed. You know, read second reading,
Yeah.
Miranda.
The second reading of Council Bill 2427, ordinance concerning the removal of Dan Rife from the office of mayor of the city of Carthage.
Any discussion? Cast votes.
Yes.
Terry?
It's not popping up.
Yeah, it still says that you and Lauren are joins.
I'm going to vote yes.
Tiffany, did yours not pop up?
It did not, but I vote yes.
Motion passed.
So we'll move on to resolutions. And this is for an amendment to the bill of impeachment set out and substitute resolution 2042 to add a new paragraph to state on May 17th, 2024 at a special council meeting to consider resolution 2042 concerning his impeachment. Mayor Rife vacated the chair because of his conflict of interest on the question. After the resolution was amended and adopted by the Carthage City Council, Mayor Rife acted to veto the resolution despite his conflict of interest and so violated subsections 1 and 4 of section 105.452 subsection 1 of the revised statutes of Missouri and section 4.1 of the Carthage City Charter and section 2-521 subsection 2 of the general ordinances of the city of Carthage.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt this amendment to the resolution, to resolution 2042.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the amendment to the resolution 2042. Any discussion?
What was the conflict of interest again? I remember the lawyer saying it was financial gain, but I thought it didn't matter if it was the salary.
I believe.
And so I'm not going, that's why I would be going against it, because I don't believe that's correct if you read the whole thing.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, well, if you actually read our city code, so there are a couple of different things in here that deal with conflict of interest, and so even if you don't agree with that specific subsection, there is a definite violation, there's a definite conflict of interest that's covered by section 2-521 subsection 2 of our city code, and that was definitely violated. But the conflict of interest is voting in something that preserves his role or has a special interest to him or benefits him in a specific way.
Any further discussion?
Sorry, I didn't vote for impeachment, of course, you know that. So it would be like, if I'm saying that, then I'm just confused on that. I apologize for being confused. It's just a lot, and we're new and we're learning, but I don't want to approve something to be changed on something that I don't approve of in the first place.
That's fine.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
For the statute item, I'm not convinced that that's actually the case. I just want to say that, I guess, at this point. And because it's lumped in there, that makes me not want to vote for that, because the three items are listed there together. And it's the statute piece that really concerns me, because I'm not convinced that that is the case.
And Mr. Edge, if there's something you're uncomfortable with in this language, you can make a motion to amend you can remove part of that if there's something you're not comfortable with, if you agree with part of it and not the other.
Well, I guess at that point, I'd like to make a motion to remove the subsections 1 and 4 of section 105-4521 of the revised statutes of Missouri.
And I would second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to remove subsections 1 and 4 of section 105.452.1 of the amendment to the resolution. Any discussion on the amendment? You want to do a vote, Miranda, or you want to?
Lauren, are you yes or no on removing that section?
Yes.
Yes. Terry?
I'm a yes.
Tom, did it not pop up for you?
Motion carried. So we're back to the original amendment to the resolution. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Miranda?
So this is to,
This is to adopt the amended
okay,
amendment
okay.
to 2042.
Yes.
No, no. Terry? Yes.
Motion passed.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Well, I guess I'll go home and prepare for another one of these.